Well, yeah.
Well, how's your week been otherwise?
Uh, this has actually been a busy week, partially because I put off a lot of things last week. So the beginning of this week, I was making sure I got everything done I needed to.
Paid for it.
Yeah, and I actually did this. I did a voiceover gig,
Oh,
from
cool.
home, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I hated it,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, no, I mean, I'm being really, really dramatic. It was not that bad, but but yeah, it made me do something. So I was really upset about that fact. But yeah, it was for this
Was it like a live job where you were like zooming with people? Was it like a Zoom meeting type job
no,
or?
it was all just from home. It was for this company that's in Kansas that I just found, and I was like, hey, I'll send them a sample. And I just got
Yeah.
like an Indeed notification about it, so I didn't think like there's no way like I'm actually gonna like do anything for this. And it was like $100, so I was like, oh, whatever, I'll
Mhm.
try it. And so I sent them a sample, and then like months later they got back to me, and have like these podcast episodes to record that's all just like about
Yeah.
teaching and stuff. It's for like young teachers, I guess.
Yeah.
And the people were just really, but the people, as in the one guy I talked to, was just really annoying. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I was just like, what the hell am I doing? Like I'm just like sitting in here recording, like, and the writing was so bad too. It was like all these run-on sentences. And then one of the pieces of feedback he gave me was that it sounds like there's a couple parts where I had cut and like started over. And it's like, yeah, it's because I can't breathe with like sentences that are um just
Right.
like sentences that never end. And
Mhm.
so there's like a couple emails of back and forth, and then I had sent them like a Google Drive folder with my audio, and the guy responds back and he's like, it was clearly stated in my email previously that you should upload it to this folder. And I was just like, okay, listen, guy, like, if like I've worked with enough like annoying clients working for a marketing agency
Mhm.
that if I see someone say it was clearly stated in something, as if we're not like adults, like
Right.
you could just say like, hey, like, in the middle of this paragraph in my email 2 days ago, I asked if you could upload them to this folder on our drive.
Yeah. It
Like,
was
can
clearly
you do
stated as
that?
a very like final, like professional, like I'm going after
Yeah.
you sort of deal. I'm
And I
being,
felt like
yeah.
it was kind of like
I'm,
condescending too.
yeah, it's like being a hard ass sort of.
Yeah, that's like, listen, like this, like there's hardly any vetting for this process, and then all of a sudden you just sent me stuff to record, and I did it. And yeah, it's
Yeah,
like, part of it I was
it's
like,
weird.
yeah, part of it
It's
I was like,
weird
oh
to
yeah,
think that
it's
you can like be like that, but at the same, but did you ever
yeah,
talk to him in person or on the phone or anything? It
never, yeah,
was all just by email.
all by email. So I mean, he
Who
might
knows?
be like the
Who
nicest
knows
guy in
what
the world.
weirdo this is? Yeah,
Yeah, he might be nice, just has weird like email etiquette, I guess. But
right.
that type of stuff I have like, I get sensitive about, because I just like, we're just like people here. Like, you're gonna throw the it was clearly stated line at me.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I mean, ultimately, yesterday I sent him like the final versions of it, and he said it was great and everything, and he was happy
right.
with it, and he said he'd email me for further episodes in the next few weeks. And I'm gonna decline at that point because I'm not really interested. But yeah, it
Yeah.
worked out in the end. But it was just like, I was just thinking, why am I even spending my time
Was it? Yeah, it was more
doing this
hassle
for,
than the work.
yeah, not that much money to make it worth it. Yeah, but it's done. So yeah, I feel like that's taken up like my whole week because I've been so like annoyed by it. And it's really just been like a few hours each day. That's all. But yeah, yeah. Besides that, yeah, I'm not too busy.
Yeah, this week felt very just I don't know, it feels like we just podcasted
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
this week just went by. It flew by. I definitely slept a lot, so that can definitely make a week fly by
For
when you're
sure.
not
Yeah.
around for a lot of it. But yeah, I also, watched a lot of movies, and I've had to work.
Oh God.
Fucking hate working. Yeah, like it's like 4th of July, so that
Mm.
it's really busy and it sucks. Like yesterday for 2 hours, for like 2 hours straight, I genuinely thought it was a Friday, like at work, just because of the vibe. I was like, oh man, well at least it's Saturday, like giving myself that sort of, well, at least it's Saturday, so I'm fine, right? No, you have two. I have 2 more days of
No, it
this,
never
and then
ends.
I
Yeah.
and then I work on the 4th. So I'm like, fuck. I'm kind of
Oh,
just like, fuck me. This is gonna suck.
I'm surprised. I guess it makes sense that Benny's is open on July 4th, just in case anyone needs last
It's
minute.
like, yeah, last minute
Hummingbird.
people.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
what's with all the
There's a
birds by your
hummingbird just
place?
right by my head. Oh,
Why you live by so many cool birds? Is it
I
just the
mean,
area?
yeah, it's just the area. I've
It's just
gotten
that
into
cat.
it's
It's
that
just that
cat that
Cali
Cali.
life.
Yeah, that's how it is in Cali, man. It's all about the birds. Yeah, that's I mean, I've gotten into birding being out here because there's like there's cool birds just like around all the time. And I used to not like birds that much. And then I'm like, hey, birds are kind of cool. They have like they're all
Yeah.
like actually pretty unique and have
If you're in the right place, you'll see like birds you've never seen.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And then I've gotten into there's like a whole like birding community that like
Yeah.
is all about like social justice and all this other stuff and then also about birds. There's like so much like bird culture out there. So yeah,
You,
yeah.
you ever seen just like people at a park like bird and their
Oh,
they're not even like there to watch, like they are sole purpose like bird watching, like have maps out and hats and are looking, and
binocs.
yeah, they
Yeah.
just, oh yeah, but they just like stand out so much. You're like, what are they doing? Like they just look so much more out of place than like fishermen, because
Oh
they're acting
yeah.
like this is the spot, right in these around the corner from these bushes and into those trees.
This is the sweet spot right here. You got a great view of that branch. There's a
Yeah.
nest over there. Yeah.
And everyone I've
Yeah.
seen has always been like short, older women.
Really.
Yeah,
I
pretty much every time.
There's actually two couples that we've seen quite a bit on the like by the park by us where we usually walk the dog. There's always like the same two couples that we see like once or twice a month and they're just out there with binoculars walking on the trail like looking just
Yeah.
stopping like in the middle of the path too and like looking up at trees and whatever. Yeah. I think it's pretty big around here. Which
Well,
makes
then
sense. Yeah.
you live in a good area. I think that's a good sign
Yeah, for sure.
of
Yeah.
of a good area. It's great for bird watching.
Yeah, it's on all of, like the real estate information, when people are looking at houses, they're checking, how is it for birding, whatever. It's like next
Well,
to
I
like
feel like
how
that
good the
also means
schools
like,
are.
doesn't that mean like the air maybe is like clean too? If there's like a lot of like interesting birds, like it's not as,
Maybe.
I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe not, but maybe those birds are just it doesn't has nothing to do with it, but that's
I
how
could
I
see
would
it.
take it. I would take it as a
Yeah.
sign of like this is a good, nice area.
Yeah.
Not a lot of
I'm
factories, maybe.
exactly. I do feel like it's more like we're in nature and nature's just happening. These birds are just flying around. Like it's like we're not
Yeah,
seeing pigeons, on the city street, just like
yeah.
walking in between people. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so that's maybe more times in this episode we'll see some little birds flying by. A little extra bonus treat.
Everyone, people are gonna be like, more birds,
We
more
need the bird
birds.
content. Yeah.
This, all right, we'll have our Cinebums episode, then our
Cinebirds.
Cinebirds episode next week.
Yeah, I'm all
Uh,
for that.
I watched some movies this week. I'm down to throw some out there
Yeah, I was actually
to
gonna
get us into the
yeah,
movie vibe. I don't want to
yeah.
I don't want to give everything away because who knows, maybe we'll do a Bender episode eventually.
Hmm.
Which movies are worth? Well, I watched Aaron Brockovich, the Steven Soderbergh,
Oh,
Julia Roberts movie. Because as you know, I'm very into Steven Soderbergh, and I'm also watching Julia
Julia
Roberts
Roberts.
movies.
Yes, of
And
course.
I will say that this being a this being a Steven Soderbergh movie, it very much felt like I was watching her so far. Um, in one of the, like out of the new movies I've seen, in like probably the most functional, like not weird one I've seen. Like the other movies that I watched with her in it, actually the Pelican Brief I've watched with Denzel. That's like in the
I haven't seen it.
an earlier '90s one. It's like based off a John Grisham novel. That one's very
Mm.
functional. So maybe I'm being a little harsh. I'm mostly thinking of like Notting Hill and like rom-commy stuff that like really feels like a time capsule of like, all right, this is what like women watched in the 90s, that sort of thing. This is like
Mm.
what women dragged their boyfriends to in the 90s. And they just it feels so 90s that it makes me feel, when I watch them, I feel very weird. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, those are
Like,
the
what am
ones that
I?
would feel weird, like if my mom or like Carly
Yeah.
like walked in while I was watching it.
I know, like alone, I would feel like not as much. I'd feel like I'd be able to like, I'd be able to feel the shame alone and
Hmm.
really process it and really just be comfortable with it, probably get some laughs out of it. But I live with my parents, and so like I'm always thinking, I'm like, is it too early to start a Julia Roberts Netflix movie right now? Because then my mom could come down and see me watching it and be like, what the hell?
Oh, I thought this was the game. I just it just came on randomly. Yeah.
Right, right, right. So I feel like instead I gotta watch something like more manly or filmy, to fit
Mm,
maybe whatever her perception of me might
yeah.
be. But anyways, Aaron Brockovich is like a totally different thing than that, because Aaron Brockovich is uh, just a very functional movie about, like a working mom struggling. And it's also just cinematography is fantastic because of Steven Soderbergh. So Julia Roberts just looks fantastic in this movie, like the way she's lit and everything. It's kind of like the way she looks and everyone looks in Ocean's 11. Everyone just looks so cool and
Mhm.
cinematic and awesome. And um, like this isn't a perfect movie. Like I'd say it's on the lower side of a Soderbergh, on like Soderbergh's canon, maybe. But I think it's like still worth watching, just because like you can see why it became like popular and everything. And there's a lot of good things in it. And um, yeah, it's worth watching for sure.
Cool.
Yeah,
Nice. Um, all right, should I go then?
sure.
Cool. Yeah, so I'll just go over a few. Uh One that I've seen recently is a movie I know you've seen too. Uh Also in the theater, but it's In the Heights. The
Yes.
Lin-Manuel Miranda musical turned into movie. And yeah, I saw this with my parents while they were visiting and
That's a reason to see it. Yep.
at a theater. And yeah, it was a good experience like in the theater. But I definitely thought it was a bit long. Whereas if I I think if I saw like the stage production of it, I would have been more okay with the length because I don't know if that's how it was meant to be, maybe. But yeah, I mean, it was still like a really, I think, a really well shot movie and just like a fun movie overall. But maybe not my, maybe not my thing. Um,
Right.
I still haven't seen Hamilton. But I don't
I don't think I
know.
will either. It's so long.
Yeah, that's super. That's like 4 hours, I think. Yeah. But I've heard some of the music from Hamilton, and like haven't really cared much for it, and I wasn't like a huge fan of a lot of the music in the Heights too. Not that I disliked the music, but nothing really stuck out to me. Like I can't even remember like uh any of the songs really. Like and maybe that's just because I wasn't like super engaged, but uh and yeah, so I think that's mainly because it's maybe just not for me. Um but and another thing I pointed out that maybe isn't worth bringing up, but you know how like how as a white man, I probably shouldn't make too much comment on this, but when you hear someone who's very like Italian, and they're like, yeah, my mom makes a great spaghetti, you know, like they have an American accent, but when they say like Italian words, they'll say like with that little accent, or
Yeah,
even if
yeah.
they're Dominican, Puerto Rican. But I thought it was funny that they always say Washington Heights. They're like
Yeah.
like Washington is like a very, very English word, and they speak in their normal
That
American
is funny.
accents,
Yeah.
and then they all of a sudden go, yeah, so I live down on this on the block down in this borough or in this neighborhood called Washington Heights, and it's like
Yeah,
why
yeah.
that of all things? Like it makes sense
Yeah.
if they're saying something that's like Spanish, but that was a very weird like nitpicky thing that I was like that just seems weird, and I'm sure they just like
He
talk about
says it
bad.
all. Well, they say it all the time. I would say
Yeah,
that like I actually like the music in it a lot, but I do think it's a very repetitive, like the vibe of In the Heights is very repetitive. Like every
yeah,
song feels like the same. Um and
yeah,
just the way the whole lingo and the way they talk and of course the way they rap it gets so I was definitely like once I after like the first number I was like it started to like exhaust me, you know, as it
yeah,
just got
yeah,
as it got like bigger and bigger and bigger and stuff. I do
mm,
like that one Lin Manuel Miranda song where like you know how he has like a cameo in it. He plays
yeah.
like
It's
a
like selling
he
popsicles or
yeah,
something.
he sells popsicles. He has that one song where
Hmm.
he sings like piragua, piragua
Oh
or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that. Yeah, that song I like that song a lot. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, and that's Lynn. And I'm and I think everyone is pretty talented in the Heights, but when I saw Lynn
yeah.
singing, I was like, wow, this guy is like above all these people because this one song is like that song got to me. It
Oh,
didn't make me
nice.
like
Yeah.
tear up, but it did make me tear up. But it was one of those where I was like glowing, you know, from the musical experience.
Yeah, that's great. I think, but I think exactly what you said is maybe why I wasn't into the music so much. Because in the beginning, I was like, oh, this seems fun and everything. But then
Yes, he like opens like the grocery store. It's like, whoa.
yeah, I liked that a lot. And then I felt like it was like 2.5 hours of very similar songs, and then it's all like the same. It's all like, oh, he likes this girl. Oh, he really
Yeah,
wants to go
yeah.
to, back home to the Dominican Republic, and it's just like all like, um, yeah, I just feel like it's just a drawn out story in a way. But
Hmm.
and I did see some comments about how it looked like there's like a Old Navy or Gap commercial right now that's like in a New York neighborhood, and like her is like playing guitar, and there's like
Hmm.
all these people around, and someone said that they just the whole time they thought it was like an Old Navy commercial, and I could relate to that. It definitely
Yeah,
felt that way at times.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
I can see
But
that too.
at the same time I didn't like
Like the
hate it.
pool,
Yeah.
like dancing, the way it's all like aligned and
Yes.
stuff. And
That for sure.
there's that
Yeah.
shot in like the trailers you always see of like a girl like dancing on a picnic bench.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, like the really young girl, but the one who's like she's really can dance. That
Hmm.
definitely is like it's like an Old Navy like jeans commercial or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean everyone is like really, really talented, and like the production seemed really great. I just think it wasn't necessarily my thing.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, not really mine either. And I think
Hmm.
not a lot of people's. Uh,
Yeah.
It's one of
It's
those
definitely
things though
getting a
that kind of
mixed
just it
reaction.
kind of like has to exist, at this time period, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm totally totally cool with it being someone's thing. But yeah.
Yeah, it's super like it's like very mainstream culture shit, like a little more mainstream than I am.
Definitely. Yeah. But that's yeah, that's In the Heights.
All right. I think the only other one I'll mention is Broadcast News,
Ooh,
the James L. Brooks movie with Albert Brooks, William Hurt, and Holly Hunter, which I've wanted to watch for a while.
this is
So
one that I've started before at night and not finished.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually this movie and Aaron Brockovich are the both those. I finished them each in like two sittings. I was like, all right, I got an hour left in each of these. That's like a full movie.
Yeah.
I'll finish them, and I finished them in the same night. Um,
Oh, nice.
and I think Broadcast Noon is like known as James L. Brooks's like best movie, maybe by
Hmm.
some. As Good as It Gets did win Oscars, but who knows? Maybe Broadcast News won Oscars. Um, but either way, I think it's very well regarded, and I kind of just like I got it when I when I watched it. It was it's pretty solid, and it's
Nice.
very funny, and has also good drama in it too, and Holly Hunter's really good in it. William Hurt's really good in it, and Albert Brooks is very funny in it. It's kind of like I don't know, like the movie Network if it was trying to be more like populist and like really be more about like people and relationships and down to earth and not attacking the whole machine
The
that
system,
as
yeah.
Network is doing because it's made the setting.
Hmm.
The setting's the main thing, but it's like uh yeah, like it's really fun. It's really funny because like Albert Brooks is trying to be like a news guy like William Hurt, and Holly Hunter's like this young young up and coming executive producer who has like a thing with both of them. So there's like a love triangle there going, and William Hurt's more of the classically handsome guy who's also kind of dumb, and they like look down on for like I don't know bad journalism or whatever. And Albert Brooks is more of like intellectual like intellectual type, but not he's not like good on camera sort of deal. So they kind of clash because of that. Also, Jack Nicholson plays like an older anchor in this movie, and I must say the way he looks, he's not in it very often, but whenever he is, I'm like, wow, this guy really pulls off like like a seasoned anchor, like the best anchor you've ever seen. Just the way he looks in the suit and stuff, and I think they like age him up a little bit with makeup and stuff. Uh, so yeah, Broadcast News is pretty good. It's probably I
Nice.
think now I've seen almost every James L. Brooks movie. Um, I think the one I have not seen would be this one called "I'll Do Anything" in 1994 with Nick Nolte and Albert Brooks. But other than that, I've seen them all, and I would say the best ones I've seen would be Broadcast News and As Good as It Gets. And the
Hmm.
worst one I've seen is easily Spanglish.
Spanglish. Wow, yeah, I forgot
So
he did
yeah.
Spanglish. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got some
but
catching up to do.
that may be the most like worth the one that you must see the most, I would say, because of how insane it is.
I still am gonna have to see Spanglish. I just haven't gotten around to it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
understandable.
I remember when we think I was a squirrel or something. I remember when we talked about that on the podcast though. And hearing you
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about it made me
I
want to
think I
see
went
it.
on, I think I it was like just a movie bender episode, but I went on this long tirade on
Yeah.
Spanglish.
It was almost as long as
Yeah.
the movie. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I did that with like that and the Heartbreak Kid, where I was just like and other just like shitty comedies where like I'm just going
Yeah.
into what goes down. Yeah.
Yeah, that might have been the same episode. Yeah. Yeah, that was good. Um, cool. Nice. So the last one that I'll bring up before we get into our lists is a French movie called Mon Oncle, which means my uncle, but it's a Jacques
Why
Tati.
you just say my uncle then, man?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I just wanted to sound cultured, you know.
Just
It's
say my
called
uncle.
Mon Oncle.
How am I supposed to know what the hell you're saying?
Yeah. Just speak English. Yeah, it's this Tati movie who I think the only other Tati movie I've seen is Playtime, which is sort of like his big one, but it also has to do with the character of Monsieur Hulot. Working on my French accents here. Um and Monsieur Hulot is basically like he's like the French art house Mr. Bean in a way. Or I guess you can compare him to like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton
Oh,
too.
okay. I was
So
thinking
like,
this was going to be like a depressing movie for some reason, but
oh
it's like a
no,
comedy.
comedy, yeah, yeah. So I think this is the second movie with like this character that Jacques Tati did. He
Yeah,
directed and starred in it, and
yeah. Did they
Playtime's
and
like
they collaborate a lot, those two?
no, it's the same guy, Jacques Tati, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
But so yeah, he plays the main character and directs it.
Gotcha,
Um,
gotcha. And he does that with that character a lot?
yeah, so I think there's three movies about it. They're not like related, but he's just like the character in it. Um,
Okay.
and and Playtime, I remember seeing a couple years ago and really liking it, but um, I didn't realize it was all like there's hardly any dialogue in these movies. It's very much just like you have to like pay attention because there's so many like subtle jokes and subtle like
Hmm.
physical comedy that you have to catch.
Right, right.
So watching this, I was like I loved it. I was really into
Sounds
it.
very relaxing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally just like a nice like end of the night funny movie to
Yeah.
watch. And there's like so
Yeah.
many like little quirks and Playtime is more of like a commentary on how this guy is just completely out of touch with well I guess the same with this one. He's completely out of touch with like modern the modern world and like he's
This
just like
sounds
caught in the
good. I
past.
should
Yeah,
watch it. I always
I
see
think you'd like
like
him. Yeah.
I always see Criterion posting like I don't know, just like some I don't know, once a month or like every few months it'll be like the today we pay homage to the incomparable Jackie's Tatty with our
Yeah.
collection. And I'm like, whoa, who is Jackie's Tatty? And I'll just see these
Yeah.
images, but then you know they'll flex with these images from the movies that are like beautiful, and you're like, oh
Yeah,
my god, and like I gotta watch these. Yeah,
that's
gotta
exactly
get
why I
to
watched
those.
this. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
they literally posted
And they have like a whole collection on Jackie's Tatty, right?
yeah, yeah, on
Man,
Jacques Tati. Yeah.
Jack Tatty.
But I mean at least I think that's how you say it. But yeah, but this one is all about he goes to visit his like sister, brother-in-law, and nephew at their home, and
Hmm.
he and like they're so like materialistic and they just like always they want to impress like all like the people in their neighborhood and everything. So they have all these like ridiculous things in their house.
Right.
Um and it like they have like this fish fountain that is just so over the top and ridiculous. And they only turn it on when there's like an important guest or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
just like sort of like a running gag throughout the whole thing. And then there's
Uh-huh.
just all these like the chairs are supposed to be like these really fancy, cool chairs, but everybody is always so like super uncomfortable in them. So like these are all like all these movies are like commentary on just like how this guy just does not relate to what the populace likes and just like
Uh-huh.
the modern world and everything. And
Right.
so yeah, but it is one of those that I found myself like rewinding a couple times just to like make sure I didn't miss like was like, oh, I feel like something happened like in the corner over there, and I might have missed it.
Oh,
So I like go back. So you do kind of have to like, yeah, I mean, you don't have to. It's still just like uh, a funny movie to watch, but there's so many like subtleties that you could miss if you're not ready for it. But yeah, there's hardly any dialogue, so it's very much similar to like a silent movie with like Chaplin or Buster Keaton, or even like it reminded me a lot of like an artsier Mr. Bean. Um, and I apparently Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson was inspired by Tati a lot, so it makes sense. But yeah, I think you'd like those. I think a couple of them are on HBO Max,
cool.
and that's where I watched this one. So yeah.
I actually watched a Chaplin this week. I finally watched my copy of
Oh
Modern
yeah.
Times that I bought like 2 or 3 years ago now. I was like, and like I know for sure I've never watched it because it was still had to be unwrapped,
Oh,
like it
yeah.
still had the plastic
Mint
on it.
condition. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that was like how you were describing this film, like it watching a late night, like 11 o'clock p.m. or 10 o'clock p.m. Chaplin is pretty nice. Yeah, because
Mm,
it's quiet, and then it's just you're just watching gags, and you have very, nice music playing and stuff.
yeah. There's very low stakes. It's yeah. It's yeah, it's a good time. I would definitely recommend Mon Uncle.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I gotta get to it. All right, so we have lists today.
Be sure
We
to.
brought lists to class. Um, and I think, and we need to bang these lists out, John.
We do.
Um, but by 2:30 Central Time.
2:30 Central Time. So now it's almost 1 Central Time. Is
Yeah,
my
so
math
it's
right?
12:52 Central Time, which means it is 10:52 California, right?
Correct. Yeah. Early morning here.
Yeah, so we need. I'm so bad at math. Just two at 12:30 Pacifico. 12:30
See.
Pacifico.
Okay, let's yeah, let's 12:30 Pacifico. I'm
You're
prepared.
down. You're ready for that? All right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Yeah, I think we can do it.
Yeah, I honestly, okay, I just had to make sure. I'm trying to make room on my computer right now. Uh
You want to make
Friday,
sure
June
we're all
25th.
set.
Yeah, I want to make sure that once this is done recording, I think I'll have enough room. But I wanted to make sure I wasn't
Oh, you mean
deleting.
for the audio
Yeah, yeah, just because I'd
files?
usually delete the old episode we've done to make
Yeah.
room, even though I should have plenty of room, but I wanted to make sure I didn't delete because I we still haven't gotten the Cable Guy episode out yet. So I wanted to make sure I didn't I deleted the Godfather one
Right,
and
right.
not that. Yeah, because
Right, right, right.
these Zoom files are pretty big, but
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, I have trouble with my Mac space, like a lot. I'm done with like the photos. Like I'm done using the Apple Photo app because when it runs, it's like I'll spend
Oh my
five
God, yeah.
hours like uploading photos and editing them because it moves so slow. And I'm like, if my computer was actually functioning well, I probably could have done this in an hour, but it
Yeah.
took 5 hours because of this computer. Yeah.
And then it just
So,
does yours get like super loud then too?
oh, really? Oh,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
mine
The
does.
the
Yeah.
the
The
heat. Yeah, the
fan
fan. Yeah, the fan. Yeah.
drives me crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and so I also had to buy cloud space, um,
yeah.
because for my paranoia, which I was like holding off because it's 99 cents. And I
It was
realized
99.
I realized like, why the fuck am I holding off for 99 cents? You get 50 gigabytes. Like, buy that shit.
That is nice. Yeah. I guess
Yeah,
I haven't really done that yet.
I was uploading to like a hard drive and like making it so much more difficult for myself.
Yeah, I have an external hard drive too, but I'm so lazy when it comes to actually like like using it. I have stuff on there from like a year ago, but I haven't. I usually like once a year will spend time going through my computer and like adding
Yeah.
stuff to it. But
I just have
yeah,
fear of my like technology like failing me and losing the important things that I make on,
right.
that I do on all the technology. That's
Yeah,
really it.
we rely
Yeah.
on it so much. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, oh, thank God. How I thought of it too was I was watching Creed, and there's a scene. It's like a really typical like modern comedy like thing, but it's actually works really well because um, so Stallone writes these workouts for Michael B. Jordan to do when he's like still being difficult. He's playing hard to get on training him,
Hmm.
and so he hands him the sheet of paper, and Michael B takes a picture of it with his phone and then hands him the paper back and, walks off. And Stallone's like confused. He's like, "You don't need this," like the paper. He's like, "No, no, I got it." And then he holds up his phone and then Stallone's like, but what if just in case that thing breaks or something like that? He's like, it's in the cloud. And he's like, and then he walks away and Stallone's like, what cloud? And he looks in the sky. It's pretty funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am so mad that I haven't seen Creed yet, and it's really a
Oh, okay.
travesty. But
Creed
now
is
now I
actually
have to see Creed.
an amazing movie. It's like one of
It's
those that
that's all
it's
I've
like
heard.
it's like for me like the Last Jedi, and where it's like like in one level you're like, why the fuck are these people like making this? Like it's all about money, but then they got like a director who just took it to like a whole nother level, and like the cast bought in and just
Hmm.
made it something great. Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah, I
love that
like
there's an
Creed a
old
lot.
man bit about the cloud. It's
Yeah.
kind of hacky, but kind of funny for
Well,
it
and that
being
made me think,
Stallone.
I'm like, dude, just upload your shit to the cloud,
Yeah.
let the cloud do its thing.
Yeah. What would Michael B. Jordan do? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then the other thing I'm trying to do computer wise is separate it so all I do on my Mac is like chores and currently podcasting and like but mainly like writing. So it's like I'll be running is like writing applications. So, I
Keep it
like
basic.
the Mac can do that. And then I'm doing everything else on my PC. Everything else. I'm just transferring it all over to there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're playing for both teams there, Mac and PC. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, wait,
um,
what's our time again that we need to
12:30 Pacific. So we should
Pacific. Okay.
but it's only we didn't waste that much time with like as I thought with that thread. Like it's only 12:58, and when I brought it up last, the time it was like 12:54.
Oh
um
yeah, yeah.
so
Not too
anyways,
bad. Yeah.
we got some lists today. We
Yes.
decided to talk about the top we're like, who knows if these are even, this is, we're not making any definitive statements here. We're
Yeah.
just bringing, we're just naming some movies today. It's not like, don't take our word for it. I just thought it'd be fun to actually on like America Day, um, to really dive deep into some American movies because we've never done that. And I mean, for the most part, outside of John, who's ahead of us all watching Mon Uncle, um, with Jack Tati, we watch mostly American movies for like a lot of
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Like Spanglish is an American film, and
Mm.
Julia Roberts is an American actress.
Yeah.
Uh,
There's
and
nothing more American than Spanglish. Let me tell you. Yeah.
um, and like I kind of just like, I don't know about you, but I just, my list is just very like I ordered it like right before I got on the Zoom, and I did not really think about the order at all. My list is just, I don't know, like it's very thrown together. It doesn't feel like I'm not going for any
Same.
consistent theme here or anything, like, because there's so many directions you could go with this. I kind of just did the first ones that came to my mind, really.
I
Um,
I tried to have some fun with this. It's definitely I only know my number one. The rest of the order, I'm just gonna kind of go with my gut. But
Okay. So,
yeah,
so you're just like, oh, okay. I actually wrote them down, but I basically went with my gut when I wrote them down, and I was like, is that really how I feel about these? I'm like, what? Who
yeah.
cares, you know? Um, and
But
I
I
also think,
actually go ahead.
okay, I was just gonna say that I think this is like an episode that can be like done over and over again because there are
Oh
so
yeah.
many fucking like that's an American movie, you know, like there's so many that you could just do this episode every year if you wanted.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, next year I'd probably have a completely
Yeah.
different list. Yeah.
This
I did
is
think
my
about
top
ask
10 American noir thrillers list.
yeah, yeah, just go super, super specific. Yeah. Most American high school dramas. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about like asking you like kind of like if you're going like in a certain direction, but I was like, no, let's just see what naturally happens. Like
Yeah, that yeah.
I tried to pick some that like and I don't necessarily have them in order because I picked them like this one is American because like XYZ. Like this one is American because like
Right.
whatever.
And
Yeah.
I for a lot of them I don't even know what I'm going to say why you know on why I picked it. So I'm just going to like yeah. Well, actually I kind of know. They're all movies I've seen a lot. Seen these movies a shit ton. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that'll also be good.
yeah. I guess do you want to do the honors of starting us off
All
with
right. Yeah, let's
your number 10?
I'll do the honors, yeah.
I'm ready.
All right, so my number 10, this is a
Well,
very
before you do it, I'm gonna like lose my mind if we actually have crossover. That'd be
okay.
hilarious. I feel like we
My
might
number
though. Who knows?
yeah, because I have no clue what the hell you're picking. Um my number 10 is I just feel like this is the most obvious thing. Um at least to me, maybe not to others. And because this is a movie that I grew up with, and I don't think everyone necessarily did. But my number 10 is The Patriot with Mel Gibson, directed by Roland Emmerich. And even though you got to have a Mel Gibson one in a way on your list, even though he's not an American guy, he's one of the most American actors that's ever existed. You know, just everything he's ever done, and then with this movie he just like really like beats that nail on the head as he plays like a colonial American who's being probably very stretched a very stretched view of history on how the British were possibly oppressing the Americans. This is probably the most stretch Hollywood view of the Revolutionary War you could have. But as a kid, this movie is just something that I wanted to rewatch every fucking day because I loved the Revolutionary
Wow.
War. I loved just reading the Revolutionary War section in my, U.S. history book in school, which usually that section is one-sided enough of a view of history and not layered enough of a view of history to watch The Patriot as a kid and be like, whoa, this must have actually all happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, total. This guy had three sons. Well, he had two. He had two sons, and then Draco Malfoy's dad killed them like a dick, and then Mel Gibson killed him on the battlefield. And Heath Ledger was there, and
This all
yeah,
happened.
yeah, and Chris Cooper was there. It's like it's so this movie's so ridiculous, but it's also just you gotta have it on an American list because like fucking Mel Gibson grabs a flag in the middle of a battle and
Yeah.
runs with the American flag as everyone in the on the side is struggling to believe in this. What are we doing? What are we even fighting for? And like he doesn't yell freedom, but he doesn't even yell anything. He basically just says we're fighting for this new nation, by grabbing the American flag and killing all these British guys with it and flying it around the battlefield. Yeah,
It's
if you're
America.
looking
Yeah.
for like the most I mean, Roland Emmerich is known for just like American propaganda movies. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, I could have also said Independence Day,
Independence Day. Yeah.
but since he has one literally called The Patriot with Mel Gibson on the cover with like a blended, like, and he's kind of blended with the American flag on the cover, like, and he
Yeah.
loses both his sons to the British, and he goes on a murderous rampage. Like that is just American as fuck, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great pick. The Patriot is always like that just screams like cable movie, like TNT. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
honestly I say this way too much, but I don't think I've seen The Patriot like straight through beginning to end. I
Oh,
think I've
okay.
seen like all of it in chunks being on TV. But yeah, it I do get that rush of like, yeah, this is America, we're
Oh, and the
taking down
score, the
the
score is
empire.
like really well done too, and it's also very it speaks like being patriotic,
Hmm. Yeah.
The score kind of goes like da 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 da. Da, 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 da.
Very
And,
like
and
triumphant. Yeah.
it's in that genre of just like early 2000s movies where they just had big ass battle scenes that did not hold back on the violence, that sort of thing, like Last
Hmm.
Samurai sort of shit, which is also a very flawed film, that I probably like a lot more than The Patriot. I would say as a kid, The Patriot was one of my most like favorite movies. I watched it all the time. If I ever had a friend over, I was watching The Patriot.
Wow.
I would say I would go as far as I don't like it. Like it's fucking ridiculous.
Because you've seen it too much now, or because it
No,
hasn't
no,
aged
because
well?
like, yeah, it has not aged well.
Hmm.
I have a very different, I have very different viewpoints now than I did when I was in seventh grade, and I just don't agree with the Patriots' take on the Revolutionary War or any of it. It's fun, but it's just so stupid.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, that's America. So
Yeah,
fun, but
that's why I
also
had to
so
also have it on
stupid.
because it is
Yeah.
so stupid. Like at the end, there's this slave character in the movie who like he like joins the military because I think like it says if you fight for the army, you'll be free. You have to put in a certain amount of months, but then you earn your freedom. And so this
Hmm.
poor slave is just there always, like getting treated like shit by everyone, and like they're all being racist towards him. He's just like I gotta put in another 8 months, and he's just like saying that all the time. And at the end on the battlefield, he's like, I got another 4 months to go before I get to 12 months. and and then at the end of the movie, he like builds a home for Mel Gibson. That's like he's finally free, and he's like, we figured we'd start on your home, and like they all build a home for him, and that's like how the movie ends. It's fucking weird. And Mel
Wow.
Gibson also, I'm spoiling a lot of this movie for you, but also Mel Gibson ends up with his deceased wife's sister in it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
his family just seems at the end is just like weirdly depleted because he lost both two of his sons, and now he's with his wife's sister. It's just like, what the fuck?
That's like
And you've watched him kill so many people
yeah.
brutally.
Yeah.
He brutally kills so many people in this
Like
movie.
yeah, he's like deranged. Yeah.
He is.
That's
He's an
like
insane murderous psychopath in this movie.
that's like the Bidens now though, because I think Hunter Biden married his brother's widow
Wow.
because his brother Bo died, and then a
It
couple
was
years
Trump
later,
trying to go after him for that, and I might have heard that in the
he's
debate.
probably been made fun of for that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Which it is kind of
yeah.
weird. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, Biden is weird.
yeah.
He's
The family is weird. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, that's my number 10. I shouldn't talk more about the
Nice.
Patriot for time's sake, even though I probably
Yeah,
could.
nice. I'm genuinely like surprised that that was your movie. Like one of your movies growing up. Like I just wouldn't expect that for someone, the Patriot, to be someone's like one of their favorite movies growing up. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's
weird.
funny. All right, for my number 10, I'm gonna go a similar route, and I wish I had seen this more recently, but it's probably been at least 10 years since I've seen it, but I felt like this is a good one to fit in. Um, Top Gun. That's my number 10.
Yeah, I thought about putting this one on there too. Um,
Yeah.
it's a
This
movie I need to rewatch in order to really talk about it because I feel like I haven't seen it in years.
same,
Um,
yeah.
but whenever I see it on TV, I'm like, I like tune in for a little bit. I'm like, I gotta watch just
Right?
some of this. I'm like, fuck yeah, Top Gun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen it in like 10 years probably, but it's still always like all the things that stick into my head are like the American things. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, just it's a typical like 80s movie with this like 80s
yeah.
rock music throughout.
There's
You have
something about
Danger
like an
Zone.
'80s movie too
Feels
that
very
like
American.
that
Yeah.
feels so yeah American as fuck. Yeah.
And Tom Cruise in the 80s too.
Tom
He's like
Cruise, Tony Scott, one of Tony Scott's first movies. Yeah, it's
mhm.
American as hell.
Yeah, I don't have like too much to say about Top Gun because yeah, it's been a while, but like I feel like it had such an impact on like popular culture too. And like there's so many references to it, but I feel like it's very American. Like I can't imagine, I have no knowledge on this at all, but I can't imagine it's like a super popular movie in like other countries. Maybe Europe just for like the action
Yeah,
movie aspect of it, but it feels very much like a American
yeah,
80s
and it's
movie.
like our parents like grew up with it, and like they all like kind of remember the time when Top Gun, was
My mom's
around.
favorite movie of all time. Yeah.
Really, your
Yeah.
mom's favorite
My
movie?
mom's
Wow.
favorite movie. Yeah.
And she says that, and she like stands by it and stuff.
She she brags about that a lot, and I got to tell you, I don't think I've ever seen her watch Top Gun. I
But when movies come up, your mom says,
Top Gun.
"Oh,
Oh,
Top Gun, favorite movie of
hands
all
down.
time."
Yeah, hands down. Yeah. It's probably a lot of nostalgic. It came out
I
in the
know. I mean,
80s. As
I believe her. I just think it's a funny thing for a person and a also as a mom of my friends to say.
yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah. Hey, it was the time before she had children. It was
yeah.
the 80s.
Right. I know my parents love
Yeah,
Top Gun. I know my uncle loves Top Gun, and
yeah.
like I was just actually talking to my uncle over over breakfast earlier, and which
Mon
sound I don't
uncle.
know why that's like a funny thing. Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know why. Um, I thought that was funny, but um, we were talking about like the theater, and he said that his most anticipated movie to see in the theater is Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, the new one.
Which
Yeah,
actually I
yeah.
really want to fucking see in theater too, because every teaser they show is like, whoa,
Looks
like
really cool. Yeah.
yeah, like crazy shots and something you got to see in the theater.
Oh,
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
looks like it could be a lot better than the original,
Yeah. Who knows? I'm,
or at least like
I'm,
different. Like they're going like a Mission Impossible, like authentic, like action route. When Top Gun is more like almost, I don't know, it's like it feels almost like playing an old video game or something like that. Like just it just works differently.
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll definitely have to rewatch
Oh,
before
me
the new
too.
one.
Me too.
Hmm.
And I think when I rewatch it, I'm gonna really dig it.
Oh,
There
yeah.
was like a long time where I was like, man, Top Gun and movies like such a corny movie. And I think I'm at a point now where like I love that cheese. I'm gonna
I eat
love
that up.
watching like Tom Cruise and all these shirtless guys playing volleyball and with the 80s music and watching Tom
Hmm.
Cruise flirt with his instructor in a very like not okay way, but like it works in this movie because it's Top Gun. And it's weird and sexist all the time, so it's fine. And
Hey, that's
yeah,
America. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everything I'm saying about like the problem, like the problems with these movies, you're like, it's America, man.
Hey, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so yeah,
It's
Top
flawed.
Gun,
Yeah,
nice.
that's number 10.
All right, my number nine is Doctor Strangelove.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, this movie always just kind of like I'm going the very typical like, fuck America, man route with this one, which is really something I was like I wanted to be careful like because I feel like I do that like too much in general. And so I didn't want my whole list to be like fuck America, man. I wanted to
Yeah.
have like very like, I wanted to have like fun things and typical things and blah blah blah. But like with Doctor Strangelove is I'm like clearly going with just that fuck America satirical edge that this movie has. Um, yeah, and I also think just the fact that like George C. Scott's in this movie, and it's all about the fact that America was really just obsessed with threatening others with their big dick nuclear bombs. Is just like
Hmm.
it's one of the best satires on America that's been done. Um, I mean, and when you have Sterling Hayden in any movie, that
Oh,
just
yeah.
ups its American identity right there.
Hmm.
And I mean, Sterling Hayden is amazing in everything, but and I have to go down more of his movies for sure, but this is my favorite Sterling Hayden roles, especially, and just as the crazy army general. It's one of the best. It's one of the best like American characters, I think. Just him, those low angle shots of him sitting there with a cigar and holding that machine gun in the office, and um, like the fact that there's a constant battle going on while Peter Sellers is just freaking out in there, like wondering what he's stumbled into. Yeah, like I love anything that really goes after the American idea of I don't know that like there's a that there was a propaganda like positive like outlook on war that really should have never been the thing
Yeah.
in the 20th century, and this is like one of the first waves of those kind of movies that came in the countercultural um all the countercultural films that came out in the 60s and 70s, and it was done by a British dude
Yeah,
who
right. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah. Doctor
Yeah,
Strangelove.
nice. Yeah, that's a great one. Uh definitely a good one to have there. I have a good mix of my list too of like sort of like fuck America and go America
And
type things.
America.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in America. Yeah.
That one is
Um,
not on my list, but it could have been. Now that I
good. Yeah.
just thought of it now, yeah.
Hmm. Nice. All right. For my number nine, my number nine, I'll go with The Breakfast Club.
Oh,
And
wow. This one's
this
surprising.
this one I tried to throw a curveball in there because I was just thinking of like what are things that I feel like are so American. And I remember um talking to someone in when I was in Germany, at like the school I was at, and they were talking about how like they were asking if like American high schools are really like what they are in the movies and
Yeah,
everything. And it made me
yeah.
realize that like America, like the US does high school movies probably more than any other country, and like
The
that's like
best
a
high
thing.
school movie
Yeah, yeah.
ever.
Yeah, like that's like such like a an American thing is like the high school dramas, whereas like high school just seems like the worst thing ever.
I
And
feel like
so
it's
then
one
I
of
was
those
like,
movies too where people go like, "Do have you seen The Breakfast Club? It blew my mind."
yeah, yeah,
That guy wasn't going to be German, but he is now since you brought up the German story. But I even
yeah,
like in an American thing, it's like, "Have you seen The Breakfast Club? That movie like spoke to me, man."
yeah,
That sort
man,
of
it's
thing.
about me. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I picked The Breakfast Club because I felt like a John Hughes, and again another '80s movie, but like a John Hughes 80s movie set in Chicago, just that feels so American too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and
and
I
he
feel like
always
this
has
is
very
like,
American characters, like I
mm,
mean John Candy is such an American American Midwestern guy. And there's something about the
mhm.
Midwest that I think we hold a nostalgic American feeling by being Midwesterners, really.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like the Midwest in the 80s was like, there's so many more like just movies set there. I
Yeah.
think, and just
And
popular
it's
movies.
great stuff for like the everyman American is are
Hmm.
those like 80s like 80s like John Hughes things and Bill Murray things back then, they were really
Yeah,
appealing to
right.
the everyman, not just like someone who lived in like New York or LA or just someone like someone who lives in like, a real place.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's why I went with The Breakfast Club. I tried to think about what is a very like American thing, and I've yeah, like the high school movie is
Right.
very American. And yeah, I feel like The Breakfast Club is kind of like the big one.
Hmm.
At least, it's one of the top tier high school movies that people bring
Yeah,
up.
I
So
would say
yeah.
if I had to pick what was the most highly regarded high school movie, it would be that one for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my
Um,
number nine.
so that's a very down to earth one. My
Yes.
next one is really very not down to earth.
Out of this
Just like
world.
just like my other ones, like the fucking Patriot.
Yeah.
Um, my number eight is of the Fast and the Furious franchise, and
Ah,
it is the fifth installment,
Fast
which
Five.
is Fast Five. Yes. Um, So not only is Fast Five a heist movie, uh, like it's the only one that revolves entirely on one heist, and the heist movie is a very American thing. It's almost, I think it's like maybe the third American genre where you're like, all right, you got to have that on an American movie list, like Western and noir or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, and so I went with this one because there's just something very American about a heist movie with a bunch of like very like not great actors, but are like in a superficial way very good on screen, and it's done. And like the superficial side of these actors is like taken to an absurd level in a movie that is and in like films that are mainly just about fucking like cars and women and coronas and as Vin Diesel said
Coronas.
like and as Vin Diesel says very like under his breath, family,
Family.
like family, and like there's just some about the name Vin Diesel and Vin Diesel, like the way he talks and acts and the way he's trying to be so dramatic, but is really just like so laughably bad always.
Yeah.
Um, but yet at the same time, I think Fast Five is a great movie.
Hmm.
And it's super fun every time I watch it, and it's very much about like a rags to riches story too, because they're all like in it to steal like $100 million. And so at the end, when the heist is pulled off in a very insane fashion, there's like a big montage of just the whole crew like using all their money, and like and it's like it's very materialistic, and it's very like of course this is why this this movie's popular because like like it's it's very much appealing to mainstream audiences, like because
Hmm.
that's like with the music and the materialism and all the the women's butts in every shot and stuff like that. But like every time that end montage shows all these like characters like using their money, and as stupid as like and like as ludicrous is on screen, sometimes there's like watching them like pull out their like expensive cars they bought with the money is always just like makes me happy for some reason. And uh yeah, I don't know, it's just like it's American as hell in like a modern, very in a super modern sense, because I don't know, classically American movies aren't really made anymore. They're only
Yeah.
like absurd or like remakes or something like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
we kind of live in a weird time now. So I thought I'd pull out something from today that I'm very into and that is also very American.
Yeah, that's a great pick. That's definitely, I mean, that's like one of the biggest American movie franchises right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And I can't,
And
it's
there's
really like impressive how long it's been
right.
relevant. Yeah.
And there's some too about like every like ethnicity is like very into Fast and the Furious. You know, it's like a very diverse fan base. So when you're in the theater, it's also like Asian people love Fast and the Furious, Black people love Fast and the Furious, and like Latino people love Fast and the Furious. So it's just yeah, it's got that melting pot like fan base as well.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, I don't know. I feel like there's this, I'm stumbling, but I feel like Fast Five was almost like the movie that kept it like, kept it going in a way because it
Yeah, it
was like,
revived it and then it pushed it
yeah.
to like the modern like superhero like aspect that they're all like just
Hmm.
they're not even drivers anymore. Now they're like espionage like
Yeah.
superheroes. So like the
Yeah.
sixth one fully takes it to that level next.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would like, even, as a younger person, I was getting like tired of the Fast and Furious movies, and it seemed like society in a way was, but then yeah, Fast Five came out and everybody was
Yeah,
saying so many good things
yeah.
about it. Yeah. That's yeah, now Fast and Furious 9 is out.
I
F9.
know. I
Yeah.
know. I need to go. I actually want to go to the theater pretty badly for it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. Yeah. Uh nice.
Yeah, that's
Fast
it.
5. All right. You know what? Since I didn't order mine, I'm gonna kind of go off, try to relate to what you what you said, and I'll go with another driving movie. And another American thing that I think of besides the high school movie is also the road trip movie. And
Oh.
so this one I went with Driving Miss Daisy. And for a few reasons. One, it's got I mean, it's this movie set in this time where I actually can't even remember what time period it's set, like the 50s or something, 50s or 60s, I don't know. But it's this classic road trip movie, and on top of that, you have white people trying not to be racist. And what is more, you have white people trying to be racist and
And
succeeding, and white
failing
people,
at it
yes,
incredibly.
and white people trying not to
I
be
like what
racist,
Martin
but
Luther
being,
King's doing.
yeah, yeah, like that, yeah. So I feel like it's so whoops, it's
Yeah,
so
Miss
American.
Daisy's just feeling herself in that scene. Like, I think Martin Luther King has some good ideas.
It's like, oh wow, let's all applaud Miss
Yeah,
Daisy for her progressive
what
thinking.
what a
Yeah.
what a weird fucking movie to watch at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
It was
But
maybe
hey,
even later. It was maybe even later. And then with
that's what we
all the
did.
movies on HBO Max, that's what we went with.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of love that that's what we went with. Yeah, that
I don't remember how the score goes, but I do remember it just like ending and the scores going as it had been like throughout the movie, and I was just like, "What the fuck was that?"
again one of those like cheesy 80s
Right.
scores. Yeah, that's very outdated now. Um yeah, and just yeah, I couldn't decide between this or Green Book, but I feel like this was like you know,
The
the
it's the
OG.
more yeah, it for sure is.
Because that, yeah, Green Book is also like uh more indirectly, it's like Peter Farrelly, the filmmaker, is trying to show that they're not racist by being
To wrestle with
racist.
his
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I felt like this is kind of my like fuck you
I
America
forgot that
picks.
Hans Zimmer did this score.
Oh my god, did he? That's right.
Trying to I want to find
Uh,
that like
oh
oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like just
I,
that music mixed with like the lack of real drama in this film, and then like Morgan Freeman's ridiculously overacted, like, you know, over, like the accent that is just too much, just all of that together are like this. I just felt very weird watching it.
yeah, yeah. It's and that music that you just played, like that just reminds me of like a teacher in elementary school
It,
rolling the
yeah,
big
yeah, it
TV and
is.
we're about to watch some
Yeah,
shitty VHS on
yeah.
being kind to strangers or something. Yeah, it's
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah. So this is yeah, this is one of my not so good America.
Miss Daisy, you ain't doing nothing, man.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Uh it's like I actually heard I was watching some comedian and they were talking about how like why are so many movies from like the 80s and 90s like this person is this complete opposite and this person is like the complete opposite of that like on two different ends. Whoa,
Right,
how do they
right.
relate? Like
Right, right.
it's like so
Well, and Miss
stupid.
Daisy is like just like, yeah, yeah. I mean, she's just the worst.
Hmm. Hey,
Yeah.
but she thinks Martin Luther King is an all right guy though.
Right, right.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
that's that.
All right. So we're on seven now. Um, my number seven is a movie that's been brought up a lot. And so now I'm kind of questioning why I'm bringing it up again. I could have picked something else. But my number seven is Blowout.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice. I would not have
yeah.
thought of this. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, man. It's another like Doctor Strangelove. It's like the fuck America, anti-America, you know, like anti-cultural movement. But
Hmm.
this one's done so masterfully that it's almost like, I think it's not only like a popular movie that everyone likes, and you know it's just super entertaining and blah blah blah, but I also think it holds like social commentary on the country. It does it very subtly but also brilliantly, to where you are able to grasp more and more of it with multiple viewings. Like there's just so much about the media, so much about the media. And then like at
Hmm.
the end, when the in the final like action scene, like the killing scene where John Travolta runs up there, there's like an American like flag like behind him the
Yeah.
whole time, and fireworks playing, as I think it is the 4th of July or New Year's or something.
I
um
think it's 4th of
in
July
that,
because I remember him driving through like the parade and
yeah,
I
and it's
feel
a
like it was all
crazy,
like
yeah.
American stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and that just one shot alone, as the tragedy occurs, after all this Hitchcock thriller shit, that
Hmm.
is really just kind of splooshed with really dark like 70s De Palma stuff. But like just that final shot alone, it's like wow, you know, it's just so
Yeah.
profound, and also very very American in a very dark way. So I just had to have something like that on, and it's like, and it's also got like a classically like dashing Travolta in it too, and probably his best performance, who I think is got to be on the, you know, on the top list of most American actors that have ever been,
Yeah.
you know.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Nice. That's a great pick. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have thought of that, but yeah, that's a good one. I'm impressed. Yeah. Cool. All right, for my next one, I'll go with okay, I'll go with another one that's kind of out of left field, but it's Rio Bravo.
Oh
And
yeah, I thought about this one too.
nice, yeah. First I thought like I feel like a Western, that's very
Yeah,
American.
yeah,
Like what's a good like American Western? And since Rio Bravo was in a way made as a response to like anti-Amer what John Wayne thought was like anti-American. Um, I guess it was in response to High Noon, which John Wayne
yeah,
called like the
yeah.
most un-American thing because of the sheriff who, it's anti-McCarthyism and all this stuff. So in politically, I'm on more on High Noon's side, but I like Rio Bravo the movie better.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, it's all sort of commentary against um like communism and basically all for um yeah, it's the
Which I
sheriffs
don't
in this
really,
town.
yeah, which I
Yeah,
don't really care about when I'm watching this too. I'm just kind of like
yeah,
enjoying the vibe, you know?
exactly. Yeah, it's like when I
Yeah.
see a western, I do want to see something more like Rio Bravo, where they're like taking control. They're like, yeah, we're gonna fight for this town, like this is ours.
Yeah.
And so the sheriff like is all like gung ho about it, rather than
Hmm.
being like who I would relate to more as a person, like Gary Cooper in High Noon, where he's more like he's dealing with a lot of stress from the whole situation and how to be like how to be right about it. But Rio Bravo's like, fuck yeah, let's go, like you know. And it also, I mean, it stars John Wayne, who is classic all
Yeah.
American like
Got to have him
Western
on this
guy.
list. I have him coming
Hmm.
up later.
Yeah,
And Howard Hawks, arguably the,
yep.
one of the best American directors ever.
And then you got Dean Martin too,
Oh
one of
yeah,
the
yeah.
biggest American performers of 20th
What's funny,
century. So
what was I listening to recently? I feel like I've just heard some random things, and it was probably there's something to do with the Godfather of episode, like about Sinatra and Dean Martin, and I was watching something in there talking about like, I don't know, Sinatra having a more flawed like career, like a
mhm,
view, like his view in the public, and Dean Martin was more so the like perfect like one in the eyes of the public. I don't
yeah.
know. I was watching something about like, oh, dude, it was on Anthony Bourdain, Parts
I was just gonna
Unknown.
ask that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was on like the Vegas episode. That's why.
There was it like they're
Yeah.
in like this like basement bar.
Yeah, they're in that old school Vegas where he's like, this is the way Vegas used to be, and we do it. Then like the girl, that's how they do it in there, is like taking you back to old Vegas where music was like that and stuff like that. And it's great because it's great because
Hmm.
Bourdain's like, why we've got all this Tokyo stuff and Paris and stuff like that, and they're trying to recreate the whole world. Why don't we have something for old Vegas? He's like, I would go there,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's why I was thinking about that. Yeah,
Nice. Yeah.
because he talks a lot about like the people who used to only perform in Vegas and how Sinatra has like, I don't know, he had, I don't know, just I think he made some mistakes, and
Hmm.
so yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a few episodes where he talks about like Frank Sinatra versus Dean Martin, because he's like very
He's
passionate
into
that
that
like
sort of thing, yeah.
yeah, he's very much like a Dean Martin fan and like anti Sinatra, because he talks about like how Sinatra was all about like the like the appearance, like he wanted to seem like the coolest guy
Right,
and everything, where
right.
Dean Martin just was like
Didn't have to, yeah.
he's just authentic
Well,
and just
and
did
I
it.
think
Yeah,
maybe that relates to The Godfather and how we were talking about Johnny
Johnny
Fontaine
Fontaine.
could be Sinatra and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, so that all ties together. But yeah, that's
Well, so all right, so now we did Blowout and Rio Bravo back to back, I'm just noticing.
yeah, we
So we
did.
got our
Yeah,
like we got our like American like Tarantino movies out
we
out
did.
there.
I
Yeah.
am I wrong? Did we? I feel like we did back in the
We
day
did
when
an
we would
episode on
do
like both of these movies.
at the same, yeah, same
Yeah, now
episode.
we're
Yeah.
bringing them up again. Yeah.
Hey, great movies.
Right. All right. So, number 6 for me is a Scorsese, uh, The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, this was on my list and I replaced it with something else. But yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
I didn't
I
want to
like it.
do like as typical of a Scorsese. Even though I don't know, this is like a typical one too. Everything is, because everything he does is great and everyone loves it. So,
Yeah.
but like I chose this one because for various reasons. One, it's like just just the hilarious American satire that to me it clearly is. Um, The way that it splits audiences into three groups. Group that sees it as a satire, which in my opinion is the right group, and
Yes,
because
yeah.
it is, and then there's the people who are disgusted by it, like, oh no,
Oh
like
Lord.
I
Miss
turned it
Daisy.
off. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, Miss Daisy would, yeah, for sure. That's very true. And then third, the like group of people that were like, they saw Leo in this movie as like, they are like, who are watching it like they are those stockbrokers in Leo's office watching him make those speeches. They are literally, there's a whole group of people who saw that movie and were like, all right, yeah, let's go get the money for Jordan
No.
now. Like, yeah, like who
Finance
literally are,
bros. Yeah.
who fall into that whole, yeah, and they use it for finance, money making motivation. And I'm sure it's like probably watched at like, um, which to me, I mean, it's in a way, that's disgusting, but I think that is like a whole layer to this movie that makes it one of Scorsese's best, is that it really like affected people on that many different levels, and especially also like was so like good and authentic that it like continues to probably like, fuel Wall Street in a way.
Yeah.
It's like a cinematic, like it's a thing that's, cinematic, like motivation for like probably current stockbrokers and stuff like that, like who are watching it like, this is fucking awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
It's
um
it's it's like how the Bruce Springsteen song Born in the USA is all like criticizing America, but then people like Trump and other like politicians will use it as like a like they don't
right,
get the
right,
actual
right. It
context of it.
is.
So it's like
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
And there are plenty of already like stockbroker movies, and there's plenty of like movies where we're like, we tried to make it rich but we were too greed, blah blah blah, but like
Hmm.
only Scorsese can make one that like really like fuels others to like try to make money,
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
it's, yeah, that this movie's just insane for that. I watched a bunch of interviews, not a bunch. I watched like a couple. Like, how like in Fran Lebowitz's like documentary, there's like Scorsese's like sitting there like laughing all the time.
Yeah.
If you, which is so great.
Oh yeah.
If you ever watch like there's Charlie Rose interviews on The Wolf of Wall Street with Leo and Marty, and they're just kind of going over like, the shooting the scenes and like how they shot them and like what Leo does in the scenes. And Leo and Marty are really like turning on their like, their funny side, of course, because they had to for this whole movie, but they really are in the interview too. Like Marty, like that Marty's talking about like something that Leo does in the scene, like I don't know, like stiffs coke out of her ass, or like tries to get in a car or whatever, the million ridiculous things that Leo does in this movie, and Marty's just laughing his ass off like the whole time, and how great his laugh is too. So
Oh yeah.
it's pretty worth watching.
Nice. I'm gonna check that out. Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the best parts of Pretend It's a City is just how um it's great to have a
Like
guy
how,
like Marty around who will just laugh
right,
really. He doesn't
right.
need to be the funny guy. He'll just laugh along with everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because Fran is really funny, but like you could tell that Marty specifically thought thinks she's just like the funniest fucking person. You know what I
Everything
mean?
she said. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like whenever she was getting to her point of whatever, he was like, he just, yeah, he died of laughter. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
So
is
yeah,
that
it's the Wolf of Wall Street.
nice?
Also Wolf of Wall Street has lots of booze and drugs, and Margot Robbie
Yeah.
plays the most classical like American hot girl, and like probably one of
Yeah.
the like in the best way, like I'm
Hmm.
being serious about this. Like
Yeah,
she's
no, I know,
actually
I
like
know.
really, she's like phenomenal as like being that classic American hot girl, like an object of desire in this. And she's like what, like 22 fucking years old? It's like insane. She looks like a fucking woman.
Yeah.
Um, and also there's a lot of blues. in the
Yeah,
soundtrack. There's a lot of blues. Like the movie
very
opens
American.
and it's
Yeah.
literally like, you know, and it works in like a modern movie, which had like a super modern movie, which has so many young people seeing it, and had Kanye West in the trailer. You know, it made like blues feels as relevant as ever in this movie.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this movie was huge, and Margot Robbie did like blow up
Yeah.
after this.
And also Leo is one of the most American actors too. Like so like American
Hmm.
Hollywood. Like there's a scene in Titanic where Leo asks he asks it's when he first meets Kate Winslet's character. Uh and
Rose, yeah.
yeah, Rose, of course. And he says, "You ever been to Wisconsin?" And it's one of those scenes where you're like, Leo, you've never been to Wisconsin. Like you
Yeah.
like
What are you talking about? Yeah.
he looks like a dude who's like lived in like California his whole fucking life. Like you why would
Yeah.
Leo DiCaprio go to Wisconsin?
Yeah, he's like
It's like
only ever been in Malibu.
I do
Yeah.
ice fishing in Wisconsin. Like the only time Leo would
No,
go
you
to
don't.
Wisconsin is if he's shooting a movie with like someone huge in
Yeah.
Wisconsin. I don't
They're
think anyone
filming
huge shoots in Wisconsin.
they're filming like a mob movie set in the 30s where they have to like go from Chicago to Wisconsin and like hide out. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that'd be the only reason. Yeah. Um,
But yeah, that's
yeah.
it on the
Nice.
Wolf of Wall Street for me.
Very nice. Um, okay. My number six then, uh, I'll go with Rocky. It's kind of related to
Oh,
what we talked about early, but yeah, Rocky, I mean, you could have also gone with whichever is the one where he um with the Soviet guy. I
yeah,
can't
Rocky Four.
Rocky Four. Yes, yes, you could have gone with that one too. I haven't seen that one in a long time, uh, but Rocky One I just went with because it's just the classic like um underdog, classic underdog story, and not only that, but just like a old school sports movie
Right.
with another a big Italian American actor, Sylvester Stallone.
Right.
Um, yeah, it's like such a big like American cultural icon that they have a statue for him in Philadelphia.
Yep, in a
Um,
very American city.
very American city, yeah.
And they have like a dude who's playing like a Muhammad Ali type in it.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like and there's like a whole like I probably read this somewhere, but there's like a whole thing about how like there's a guy playing Muhammad Ali, like a Muhammad Ali type who was a very like radical, guy at the time for an old school American, type. And
Hmm.
then you have Rocky come out and he's fighting Muhammad Ali, this Muhammad Ali type. And he's just very like old school, like just trying to make it, working class. Like Rocky lives like on on a lower side of town. You can tell as he's like walking home from
Hmm.
training and stuff. And I don't know. There's just something about that, and especially in the time period this came up, it was actually this was like now it feels so like maybe not so unique, but like in the 70s, this was like compared to like all like everything like the movie brats are doing and all this stuff. Like Rocky was like a very different thing to come out at the time, and and it was very critically received too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I just
Didn't he win best screenplay or whatever?
I think so, yeah. One
Yeah,
one something, yeah. Um,
it's also one of the most American scores ever, and
yes.
like
Yeah,
the
the
score
music.
that they kind of reuse in every other Rocky after comes from this one. Um,
Hmm.
and there is something so lovable as like as Stallone and Balboa in this role, and it's very personal, and it's um, yeah,
Yeah, he's just like the everyman, he's like
it's
Joe the plumber, yeah.
one of the great everyman American roles for sure.
Yeah. And
Like I
Americans
don't know,
definitely
I
eat
don't,
up that.
like not only the way he talks, but like also just like his, just the fact that he's not smart but genuine. It's like
Yeah.
actually, it's like not like it's done right and well and deserves to be around and not like unlike the Forrest Gump shit of the world.
Hmm.
But yeah, just like his whole like in Creed, like I mentioned before, Creed, he's always like, Hey, how you doing? That's him the whole movie. He's just like, how you doing?
That's very American. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
How you
yeah.
doing? Uh, yeah, yeah. That's Rocky. Yeah.
All right. My number five. All right, this I think will be a curveball for you
Ooh, I'm ready.
because we never talk about these kinds of movies on the podcast. And if we do, it's not good usually. So
Ooh,
my number five is the OG Avengers.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally makes sense. When you said that, I was like, what don't we talk about really? But yeah, that's
never Marvel
Marvel.
movies.
Yeah,
Never Marvel movies. And
yeah.
I am so okay with that. I'm so happy that we don't ever, like, how few Marvel movies come up because,
Yeah.
like, I mean, yeah, I'm just happy that you're not this big Marvel head because this would not probably work as much.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, so I think Captain Marvel fits into the trilogy more because
Yeah.
and I can't wait for the next phase, you
Well,
know?
really,
Like,
Winter Soldier strayed away from the comic book material because it didn't tie into his whole theme with the Winter Soldier and Captain America. Yeah, like
yeah. Well, and you're like me, like you
I
didn't
don't
watch a
know.
single one of the shows, did you? Like all the
No, I,
shows that came out this year that everyone like
WandaVision
people
and
yeah, people have been telling me, did you see Captain America? What is it called? Is it Winter Soldier this
uh,
series or whatever?
yeah,
I think it's
it's
Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the
that's it.
series.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people have been telling me how good it is and blah 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 and I always say yeah, 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 but I'm never going to watch that.
I
Like
I just
it
don't
will
get
take a
into it. Yeah.
like it'll take like me to fall in love with like a girl and me like and for our relationship like I have to watch these shows with her then fine, but other
Yeah.
than that I am not watching that.
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily, I'm at a point in my relationship where we watch things separately, which is nice, and stuff together,
Because
obviously. But
Carly's watching all the Marvel
she's such
all
a
the
Marvel
Marvel
head.
shows.
Yeah. She's reading all the comic books. I can't get her out of the books, you know. She never pays attention to me. She's always just watching Marvel stuff. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
I don't like
all these shows.
I haven't seen a Marvel movie like the new ones that I really like hated, but I don't really get
I
into
don't
it.
hate any of them. I don't dislike any of them. I'm just like
I
the
don't think about
hype.
them.
I'm not in on the hype. They don't come up in my mind. And when they come up for someone else, I start to be like, that's interesting that you
Yeah.
are into this.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
forget that they're into it. I'm like, of all the things you could watch, you're watching the first Avenger again.
Oh my, one of my roommates in
Like,
college, I really like him. He's a great guy, but his favorite movie, and he's not even like a big comic book guy, but his favorite movie is The Avengers. And I swear through the 3 years I lived with him, I saw him watching The Avengers like 8 or 9 times.
right.
And it's just like there are so many other things out there. Yeah, it's
Yeah. Like people have been telling me to watch these Marvel shows. Like I'm here trying to watch The Nick with by Steven Soderbergh. Like that's what I started watching. That's actually a show I started watching this week, and it is a very different thing from a Marvel show.
yeah.
And it's I
And
must say it's pretty fucking good so far too.
I haven't seen. Is that with God, what's
Clive
his
Owen
name? Clive Owen. Yeah, I love Clive
and
Owen. Yeah, he's great.
this I want to be able to say this guy's name because he's a pretty relevant actor right now. Um, with Andre Holland, who is in you've seen him. He's in Moonlight. He's in High Flying Bird, also with Steven Soderbergh. In Moonlight, he is
Oh yeah,
the guy who cooks for Travante.
yeah. Is he like his best friend from like when they were little?
Yeah, like the guy who has that gay moment with. I'm pretty sure
Hmm.
that's yeah, that's him. So
And then
he's
he's like the main guy in High Flying Bird, like the
yeah,
agent or
so
whatever.
he's
Yeah.
one of the best dudes right now, really,
Hmm.
especially with being in the Nick too. So yeah, highly recommend the Nick, but I gotta cut back and talk about the Avengers
Oh yeah.
after we just bashed Marvel people, which just sounds weird. But actually, the first Avengers I've seen a lot,
It's a
And I
fun
saw
movie.
it in theaters, and it was a huge deal seeing this in theaters. Like I saw it with a
Yeah.
friend of mine from high school, and we were like, it was epic as fuck. Like you've never seen this many superheroes. Now it's like, okay, every single movie is a montage of superheroes work together and they create really cool action scenes. But back then, like, you never saw it, you know? And so this was a huge fucking deal. And the reason I chose it for being an ultra American movie is, well, one, Sam Jackson is like the captain of
Mm.
this crew. So right there. Another would be the score. The score is like ultra American, just that dun 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 dun, like, and like the end monologue, which I like. I will I will admit, after, like, after again we've been bashing Marvel movies, the end monologue gives me like fucking goosebumps because it's just epic as fuck. And Sam Jackson's just like talking about, like, just really, like, it really is well written when Sam Jackson like encapsulates the whole idea of the Avengers and how there will always be around whenever more shit comes up, and that they have this team to fight off anyone, blah blah blah. And it feels just very American in how, unlike the Avengers, who kind of have things under control, America has always kind of felt the need to fight off the world's enemies and protect
Yeah.
everyone, even though it's kind of a dick about it. But like the Avengers is that classical American idea, but in this very, like, cheesy Marvel Hollywood way, is actually like them doing it right. And you think about humanity in an actual, like, good way, which is also very telling on why these films are so popular.
Hmm.
And just, yeah, honestly, a lot of it is that end monologue, and just, just that shot of the shot of them all, that of the circle of them all working together, is just super American to me, as Captain America is like ordering them all what to do and shit. And the score just rocks in that final monologue with Sam Jackson as they send you off to being
That
like,
is a good
the
score.
Avengers will be saving the world. And it's like epic as fuck. And yeah, it's just a very, yeah, and it's also very American. Makes you
Yeah.
proud to be an American for once.
There is a character called Captain America in it. So yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, and he's a good dude.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good pick. Yeah.
And Tony Stark's character is like I said with like Fast and the Furious, it's like, I don't know, there's just some American about his, about watching him act for like for modern people. They just like his humor and his mannerisms and how he acts. And he's probably made the most money as an actor in the past, like,
Yeah.
decade.
Yeah. That's really insane. I mean, he started it all with the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But to watch all these Marvel things, I mean, that's got to be all that like the big Marvel fans watch because there's so
And that's
much
all
now.
these Marvel people, what they're really fucking into too, is Iron Man. They just
Yeah.
love, like, Iron Man is their guy.
Yeah.
And like, there are a Marvel thing recently opened up at the Museum of Science and Industry. So that's been a popular thing in Chicago lately. And like, one of my friends was telling me, he's like, I wanted to steal the Iron Man helmet. And I was like, and I thought to myself, like, interesting.
What are you gonna do with it
He
then?
really cares about Iron Man.
Wow. He's gonna pull off there's Ocean's 14 or whatever. He's gonna pull a heist on the Museum of Science and Industry and steal the Iron Man helmet.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Sell that to Hollywood. Yeah.
There's like levels of nerdy that I'm willing to go, but I'm also weirder, so I'm more nerdy about shit like Spanglish and things like that. Like when others, like, I was at like a whatever studio made Batman. I was at
Warner
whatever
Brothers.
studio. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was there, I think, and we got like a tour of like, um they had like all the Batmobiles that have been used in movies. So they had like the one from Nolan and stuff like that. And so I was like pretty cool, but I was also in my stage of like hating Christopher Nolan movies. And I was with all these people who were like, "Oh my God." And I was just kind of like, I was much more like lukewarm, than like
Hmm.
everyone there who was like, "Oh my God, the Batmobile!" Like
Yeah.
I didn't like post the Batmobile anywhere or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. There's definitely things that I'm for sure like nerdy about like that, but and even at
Yeah,
a
I
time
only
in my
go
life
to
it would have been the Nolan Batman movies, but yeah, it as I get older it's hard to really care about some things like that. Yeah.
but yeah, that's the Avengers.
Yeah. Nice. Um all right, well my next one is going to be one that I don't really have much to say about it. I wanted to put it on the list because I just feel like it is like one of the most American things ever, whether that's like a good thing or bad thing. But you just mentioned it. Forrest Gump is my number
Ugh,
five,
right.
and mainly for like
Man, so you got
just for
like
the
this
obvious
and
reasons.
Driving Miss Daisy on your list.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
They're kind of grouped together here in like the cheesy American movie that is also like very ideologically flawed.
exactly. Yeah, I I mean, Forrest Gump is one that I like when I was a kid, like, oh yeah, this is like the everyone like thinks this is like the most amazing movie ever. Like this is so great. And
Right.
it's like all this like American history stuff, like that's so cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, when you really like revisit it
Break it
again,
down. Yeah.
and yeah, and
It's like,
I don't know, yeah, it's I also I haven't seen it in a few years now because I just feel like you're always like beaten over the head with it in popular
right.
culture and that you
Hmm.
walk in any touristy place and there's a Bubba Gump
Yeah.
there. But yeah, it's just I feel like
Yeah.
it's
I once applied to a Bubba Grump Shrimp Co. at Navy Pier.
Navy Pier. Oh man,
Didn't go to the
yeah.
interview.
Well, good. I'm glad you would have had to have a lot of
I don't
Forrest
think I
Gump
would have lasted. I
knowledge.
don't think I would have lasted there.
It's so crazy that there's a whole restaurant just based on this movie. But
Right.
yeah, it does a lot of times feel like American propaganda and just like very it feels very much of its time where it's like yeah, there was all like the counterculture stuff that happened, but then it was almost like then the 80s and 90s like I don't know, I feel like popular culture then just like takes over and you think less about what things actually mean and just like um yeah, glorify like everything in a way. And I just feel like he was just sort of
Yeah.
like this like dumb character that everyone would like get behind as like this idiot, but there's this fly that would not leave me alone. Um yeah, it won't leave me alone
Yeah.
just the same way Forrest Gump references won't leave you alone in everyday life. So yeah.
I don't really, yeah, I don't, I'm not sure. I need to watch this movie again to really say what I feel about it because
Hmm.
I'm sure like I'll have like a lot of like opinion, but yeah, I'm not a fan of it anymore. And if someone says they like Forrest Gump, I'm like, oh, okay, this type of person, like,
Yeah. You can tell they maybe don't like think too much about everything, which yeah, is
yeah, I feel
whatever.
like you have to like, I feel you have like, if in order to really like Forrest Gump, you got to really like, you gotta be like, start off like your day or be like, duh, like let all the goodness of the world impact me.
Yes.
Just
That's
take.
yeah. That's kind of the point I'm failing but trying to make is like yeah, it's like these movies like this, it's like, oh yeah, like this is all good stuff. Like yeah, I know
Right, in a way it
Bubba gets
is like if
shot,
you
but
if you put zero thought into the movie, like
mhm.
wow, how nice all this is. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just thinking about him sitting on that bench and talking and just thinking like, what the fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah. That's Forrest Gump. I don't have anything more to say. No
All
more to
right,
say about it.
So my number 4 is getting to those. We're getting to that Western that I promised. I promised y'all I'd bring up after you
Yeah.
brought up Rio Bravo. I'm bringing up another Howard Hawks, John Wayne Western, Red River,
Oh,
which for some reason I just really fucking like. And I don't know, it's just very American. This is one of the least cynical American ones I picked, like, because I have nothing like bad to say. It will make me. This is the one movie, like one of the movies that will make me like not say anything bad about America, because it's like you're seeing like an American movie being made in a way that's like just very genuine to me, to what about what America is. There's something so exciting about like the cattle drive, and something so American about that. There's something so American and genuine about John Wayne and Montgomery Clift's like dynamic, and John Wayne's like super just madness pursuit of overworking all these guys, and all the women that come up. It's just like a time period where American movies were done like perfectly, like when they were done. And I think Red River is one of those. And so, like, I remember there was an interview with Quentin Tarantino once. There's actually like a couple. I mean, there's a million with Quentin Tarantino, but there's actually a couple that were posted recently, because he's on the two big podcasts promoting that book of his.
oh yeah, yeah.
But one of the first Quentin Tarantino QT interviews I saw was like his Pulp Fiction one with Charlie Rose. And he's like, that's what America did best. We told a good story. And that's what he says. And like, as ridiculous as that is of like to hear coming from him, it's a ridiculous statement. It's just like him,
Yeah.
the absurdity of his personality. But like, that just rings really true, especially if
Hmm.
you go back in time to the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and you have movies, like Rio Bravo, like Red River, like the Treasure of the Sierra Madre, or like fucking The Sweet Smell of Success, and all this great stuff. Like, it rings true, and like Red River just kind of has that for me too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, these are both two great westerns to include as like the American Western. Yeah.
Hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, that's all I really got for that one.
Cool. Oh, I'm really realizing now, like I've got a couple here that are my top four that I feel like are less American than other ones that I had. So my
That's
order
the
really does
nature.
not matter. Yeah.
That's the nature of this. That's what I was getting at the
Yeah.
beginning. Yeah.
Because the next one I'm going to go with, it's partially because it's been on the top of my mind since we talked about it recently. But it's the Truman Show. And
Mm.
yeah, the main reason is just for the commentary on America's obsession with television and um and yeah, I guess like it also symbolizes like this they create this world for this guy that is supposed to be like a utopia, like this like version of America that in like the 50s they would probably talk about, with the white
Yeah.
picket fences and
Yeah.
yeah,
Like his wife, her whole personality. It's like a
exactly, yeah.
commercial. Her whole personality is a commercial for like the 50s.
Yeah, yeah. And so this whole, another movie I could have included was Pleasantville, which kind of deals with this too. But yeah, it's like the the ultimate view of like America, where it's like everything's so great in America right now. Don't the Soviets suck? Like everything's so great here,
Yeah.
and like they have the humble dad who goes to his job, and then the wife who's the homemaker, and yeah, and then along with that, it's all for like a television show that everyone's obsessed with, and it's like putting this like human life um, into the hands of like of a TV show.
Hmm.
Starting to hear a leaf blower. Hopefully that's not coming through too much.
Ooh.
Um, and
I don't hear it at all.
okay, perfect. And yeah, then I guess I don't have too much more to say since we talked a lot about the Truman Show, but yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. All right, so the show opens up.
So what happens first is so Jim Carrey was cast in it, and no.
Yeah, we
So
reiterate that
yeah,
whole thing.
if you want to hear more, go listen to that episode.
Yeah. Also, we talked about it in the last episode a little bit because I compared it to The Matrix,
That's right.
which sounds kind of weird when it's not explained, but I explain it there. I'm not
Listen to
explaining it
that
again.
episode. Yeah,
We have all right, John. We have 20 minutes for the
let's
top
do
three,
this. Let's
which
do
is
this.
actually a perfect amount of time.
Yeah.
Um, all right, my number three is There Will Be Blood.
Oh,
Um,
very nice.
yeah, because I feel like it gets a lot of those Citizen Kane comparisons. So I
Hmm.
like how it's just that modern Citizen Kane type thing of like a man of with nothing in a dark way, really finding enormous success in America and it kind of like destroying him. So it's kind of like that classic tale, but also like it's because it's a western, like kind of a western setting. Like it's supposed to like take place in the California desert, but I think they shot it in Texas because it has that and those wide landscapes that are kind of shot with Johnny Greenwood's score in like a horrific way. It's almost like a horror story of America in a
Yeah.
way. And that mixed with Daniel Day-Lewis's like terrifying performance, which is also um, really funny. Like it's like one of those movies which is not like funny if you don't really like. I don't know. I feel like it's like a weird movie to say it's funny, but I
There
think
are
it's
definitely funny
definitely.
parts. Yeah.
I think it's definitely funny.
The whole milkshake scene. Yeah.
Right, and just like the Daniel Plainview character is so absurd. How real and nuts and like just his voice and everything and just the way his voice is like no one fucking talks like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yet he invented this like this way of an American talking that it yet seems so real and terrifying. And I don't know, in a weird way speaks true to who we are. And I just think it's like a masterpiece that's really going to be remembered a lot. And it like is very much about America as it like as the movie opens and it's literally just like a dude in a hole like trying to like find gold, trying to find oil.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
there's something about oil that is super American as well, obviously.
Definitely. Yeah. 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 Nice. That's
Yeah,
another solid pick. Yeah.
yeah.
Um. All right. My number three then is this I think is a curveball. But it's Borat.
I love like the way like how we just go from one to the other like that. Like you were talking about the Breakfast Club, and then I was like, all right, Fast Five.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we have very diverse lists. This is
I'm a
yeah, this is good.
Borat. Now from There Will Be Blood to I'm a
Yeah.
Borat.
Oh my God. Yeah, what a
Also,
transition.
not a funny movie if you really think about it, but when
Yeah.
further inspection, I think it's a funny movie.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I mean, I picked Borat because it's yeah, this is sort of like a fuck you America type movie just with this this character from another country sort of exploiting all these like bad parts of America and sort of like poking the bear um poking the American bear that's just to sort of show to the people who enjoy this stuff like us that wow, yeah, that is just like the utter ridiculous side of our country, through the South and everything. Just and um, yeah, I don't know. I think uh, I really resonate with that because I love seeing um, you know, bigoted people or
Yeah, the hidden
closed-minded people,
camera
just like
shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like sleazy in a way, but I do like seeing people shown in a bad light who I think have terrible opinions and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean Borat just he Sacha Baron Cohen does a great way of getting these like interesting like characters from middle America and yeah, sort of exploiting the viewpoints they have. And you could definitely, I mean, there's a lot of like the bit like even in the UK, like other big powerhouse countries, you could show off like the small-minded like group of people
Yeah,
and the population
yeah,
that
yeah,
but like specifically with America who's like the empire right now, that's I feel like Borat shows that side of America that is
yeah.
important to see
In
too.
a
Yeah.
time that was really it was really necessary for that too, and
Yeah.
where um, censorship wasn't as big of a deal, so you could really do, you could really go full on with it and do it right.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I think this hidden camera shit, like as we saw in like Bad Trip with Eric Andre,
Hmm.
like um like these hidden camera shit really shows like a side to America that like is very genuine. Like I thought
Yeah.
the people in Bad Trip, I'm like, now that is a fucking like citizen of this country. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
That's just a regular
people who are,
person. Yeah.
yeah,
And how they would react to like this like
yeah,
crazy
yeah,
scenario. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
That's why they're like the perfect choices. I feel like, and Nathan For You does it well, where they show
Hmm.
someone who you would never think of existing.
Yeah. Especially seeing on TV. Yeah. And
Yeah,
they're so good at finding these people and yeah,
yeah,
getting great stuff out of it. Yeah.
yeah.
That's Borat.
All right. So my number two is like Red River and like that type of like, and then like I could have added say Back to the Future or something like that to this genre of, I could add that to like, what makes you feel good about that American side to filmmaking and movies, and um, yeah, I won't explain further. No, my number two is Jaws, because
Nice.
it's a super American movie that makes you feel, I don't know, it's like, it's kind of got some commentary and how like the mayor's dumb, but I think that's more about conflict than it is about social commentary. Like, I think it's understandable that the mayor and the town need that weekend because that's the only time they make money. So I don't think it's like saying, wow, we're like money driven. No, like the island needs that weekend.
Yeah.
The 4th of
Hmm.
July is their biggest. How does the mayor talk? He's like, it's the 4th of July. It's the biggest weekend. The mayor. And like, so that's also another one of the reasons why I picked this movie, is because the mayor and like Roy Scheider and like this whole cast is super American. Like they speak like Americans, they drink like Americans, they sing like Americans. There's something about an American fisherman, who isn't
Hmm.
scared. Like I mean, I know Spielberg in a way is inventing this archetype, but there's something about Robert Shaw, like his not fear of going after the shark, which is like ultra American and badass, and like the
Hmm.
stories he tells of being on the water, it's um and then like there's just this trio is like, I don't know, maybe I don't know, it's one of the most classic American trios when these three go after the shark.
Yeah. And it's just like a classic American summer movie.
Yeah, it takes place
Um
on the 4th of July. There's something very I don't know, when I'm watching Jaws on the 4th of July, everything feels right with the world to me.
yeah. And I mean it's like one of the first blockbusters, if not the
Yeah,
first.
invented the
And what's more American
blockbuster,
than that? Yeah.
which is super American.
And it's Spielberg. So yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah. I
very
felt like I
American.
had to pick a Spielberg, but I wasn't gonna pick fucking Saving Private Ryan or or
Yeah.
something like that.
Nice. Well, all right, we got 10 minutes, but I'll go through my number two quick. My number two also has a Spielberg connection. It's West Side Story. Um,
Oh. Hmm.
which I
Which also
saw
has a
like
trailer for a new Spielberg coming.
Yeah. When I saw it in the Heights, I saw the trailer for the new one, and I actually was like pretty amped to see it. Um, looks good. And yeah, I mean, West Side Story is just a classic tale of these two like immigrant groups in New York City, which is a very American thing, and they're sort of clashing. And I mean, on top of that, it's just like one of the more classic, just American movie musicals ever.
Yeah,
Um,
it's probably,
and
along with Singing in the Rain and
mhm,
Sound of Music, the most popular one.
yeah, and it specifically has to do with these immigrant groups. Um, I mean, and their oops, and their just lives in America, and
In the
yeah, it's
melting
just
pot, yeah.
in the melting pot that is New York City. Um, yeah, and it's yeah, it's just a classic American tale, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's like taking
yeah,
that Romeo and Juliet thing and really Americanizing it as
exactly.
much as you can, really is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, it's always around, like people are always in high schools, like, we're doing our rendition of West Side
yeah,
Story. That's like every fucking high school. I felt like they were doing that at Glenbard South every year, and I
for sure.
never once saw it.
Same. Yeah. Mm-mm.
I was like, Glenbard South like made you uncultured.
Really, it really did. Just that typical like suburban, yeah,
Yeah,
white
you're like,
place. Yeah.
we have plays. Oh, fuck that.
It's
We
weird to
have,
think we had like a theater program too, because
yeah, no, I like, yeah,
never
like
heard about it.
no one gave a shit about the theater program. Yeah, I know you played music, but no one gave a shit about the people who played music.
Hey,
They
yeah,
did,
no,
yeah, they
no, they
didn't.
didn't. No.
And
Yeah.
the multimedia program, obviously, no one cared about the multimedia program,
Yeah.
which
No,
I
there's nothing
actually
for
got
the arts,
asked to
really.
join. I got asked to join a couple of times. Um,
I don't even really know what they did or what that was
yeah, like
about. Yeah.
I mean, they like ran. That sounds obvious, but they like ran video of the
Oh,
school, and they like I think they did like the lighting and like if you were ever in an auditorium, they would do the lighting and stuff like
hmm,
that.
makes sense.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I got asked to join, and like I just and in that school, I saw no reason to, and now I edit videos and I'm in the
Yeah.
I'm trying
Right.
to
Yeah.
do film things, yeah.
Yeah. It's
But it was
yeah.
high school was much better spent doing absolutely nothing, in my opinion.
Agreed. It's not that important at the end of the day.
It's not the time to have hobbies.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. No, not at all. Yeah.
time to do nothing.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's West Side Story. Yeah.
Yeah. My number one was mentioned earlier, actually, but not like it wasn't on the list. It was brought up, and I actually do think maybe this is the most American movie ever made.
Wow, I'm
Um,
ready.
it is Rocky Four.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which I know you said you haven't seen a lot. I, on the other
Hmm.
hand, have seen it a lot. A
Yeah,
lot.
I can definitely tell you're much more in the Rocky universe than I am because
Yeah, I'm
I haven't
very
even
deep
seen
in
Creed.
the
Yeah.
very fucking deep in the Rocky universe. And Rocky 4 is maybe like Creed, I don't know if I could count compared to the other Rockies because Creed is just an insanely good fucking movie. But Rocky
Hmm.
4 out of the original Rockies may be my favorite one. Um, because it is like they go for it in Rocky 4. They really
Hmm.
go for it and it is American as hell all the way through. Not only does it have an amazing 80s soundtrack like we said before. It's maybe the best 80s soundtrack. It has Living in America by James Brown performed at like the beginning of the film,
Oh yeah, yeah.
like right before Apollo Creed gets murdered by the Russian boxer, like he comes out to James Brown's Living in America. So you got that stuck in your head.
Hmm.
And then there's all this like the rest of the movie is literally like 80s training montages of Rocky
Yeah.
as he trains to fight this Russian guy. And you got all the fucking like Cold War stuff bubbling, as well as the fact that you see this insane Russian guy kill Apollo Creed. It's like that's like something that's like always traumatized me as a kid. Um, and then like you got Hearts on Fire, this one song, 80s
Yeah.
song
Hmm.
plays constantly, and it bangs in this movie. And there's just something about like the the fight with Stallone and this Russian that like is just, it's done right. You feel the weight of not only like Rocky versus this guy, but also the two countries against each other. And
Hmm.
it's just done, it's done well. And as like corny as it is, how Rocky kind of like in the end wins over the Russian crowd and has that like, we all can change, like that whole speech at the end, like it works, man. And then the Hearts on Fire starts playing again, and it like like what, in a movie that starts off in like a tragic way, not only is it entertaining as fuck throughout this whole movie, but it really actually ends with you feeling good about the world, as like propaganda, you could say it is, or as ridiculous and corny as it is. Sometimes it works for me. I'm
Yeah.
all for it.
I mean, they're uplifting movies for sure. The Rocky
They are,
movies,
yeah,
very inspiring.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Can't believe
juice.
we didn't
It's
even.
like juice that I'm willing to take in.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't believe we didn't even talk about the montages. Yeah. And when I brought up
Oh,
Rocky 1, yeah,
right.
that's
Yeah.
that
The
is
fact
such
that
a
like almost the whole movie are montages. And as the movies go on, like Rocky 4 is like less story and more montages, really is what it is. Um,
yeah.
yeah, there's some about the training workout montage that is ultra American as well.
Hmm. Yeah. The only Rocky I've only seen the first four Rockies, and the only one I've seen more than once is the first one. So I really
Oh,
have to, yeah,
oh,
I got to
I
get more
recommend
into that.
rewatching it. Yeah.
Have to. And there's nothing more American than taking on the Soviets. That's
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And Ivan Drago is just like that classic
Oh
villain of
yeah.
America. It's like it's awesome. I love that Ivan Drago exists. I really do.
Yeah. There's always great um villains, I guess you'd say, and
Oh yeah,
antagonists in the
they're
Rocky
always. I
movies.
mean, yeah, and Carl Weathers is fantastic in the Rocky movies.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I'll go with my number one then, which I feel like is a little ridiculous now after talking about that one, but I thought it would be pretty funny to have this as my number one, and I think it fits. It's National Treasure with Nicolas Cage.
It is
Oh
very
man,
American because they're constantly looking at like,
the
there's
Declaration of Independence.
this mark at the Declaration of Independence.
There's great YouTube videos of just like how many times Nicolas Cage says the Declaration of Independence in these movies.
Dude, I need to watch that after
I
this.
think
Wow. Yeah, because he does. Like he's always like, they're stealing the
constantly,
Declaration of Independence.
like we know we've been here since the beginning of the movie. We know what the whole deal is. Yeah, there's like
Yeah,
I think it's a supercut of him just saying
but
the
this
Declaration of
movie really,
Independence.
right. This really appealed to me as a kid. National
Oh,
Treasure.
I loved this growing up. Yeah, and that's part of the
And it's
reason
not
I
global
included it.
treasure, it's national treasure, which
National,
means
yeah.
American treasure.
And there's so much just like sort of basic surface level American history that they go throughout the entire thing. It's Nicolas Cage just going through all these like facts that he knows about American history and like decide it's like a mystery, but all the mystery has to do with is like US history class stuff. And yeah, it's just a fun classic American adventure movie. And yeah, growing up I loved these that it's kind of like I still find them enjoyable, but they're obviously like so flawed as just as movies altogether. But
Yeah.
um
I
Yeah, I
like
just
that
felt
as your
like,
number one. I think it shows
mhm,
you got some cojones.
yeah, I'm not afraid to
Yeah.
pick National
Yeah.
Treasure. All right. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it just the whole thing constantly like there's so much just exposition all based around
Right.
these
It's
like
all about
American
historical
things.
shit. Yeah. Yeah. When
The
uh
Freemasons
when Thomas
and
Jefferson signed the
yeah,
Declaration of Independence, he then went there.
and
Ah,
Ben
that's
Franklin invented the bifocals, and he created this enigma like this. Yeah, I forget all like the little things like just so much like beating you over the head with the founding fathers and like the Freemasons. They developed this enigma. This they have to decipher this code, and it's the map on the Declaration of Independence. Yeah, it's just like so, just like constantly like what are all these pieces of
Uh,
information that we can include
I
in
want
this
to
movie?
rewatch this movie. I think I saw
I do
you
too.
log
Yeah,
this on Letterboxd like a couple times over the years, maybe.
maybe.
And
Yeah,
I think I found it interesting. I was like, John's watching National Treasure.
you see the thing is like Carly likes the movies too. It's yeah, it's I kind of
That's a
feel
fitting
no
move.
shame
Yeah,
in uh liking these movies. And because they're kind of
yeah,
funny too. Like
yeah, yeah.
there's the
I want to
classic
rewatch it now.
yeah. I mean it's got Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage and then you have the classic like side character who is just kind of like the punching bag. He's just like he's so goofy and weird and he's like the comic relief.
He doesn't know
Um
anything about history.
Yeah, he's like, so we're gonna do what? Or the Freemasons did what? It's like, yeah, he's just along
Who
for the
is the
ride for
side
some reason.
character?
It's the same guy who plays Doug in the Hangover movies, and he's
Oh my
in
God. What did I
Justin
see him
Bartha.
in? What did I see him in where he was also the comedic relief and I didn't like him in it?
He's in Geely too, that Ben Affleck J Lo movie, which is just god awful, and he's
I've never seen that. He was in Failure to Launch, the McConaughey movie.
yeah,
That is absolutely ridiculous. And
we talked
yes,
about that one, yeah,
he is the comedic relief. He's one of those guys who lives at home. We
mhm,
talked about because we both watched it, right?
yeah, hmm,
Yeah, him
yeah.
and Bradley Cooper are the buddies, and I think Justin Bartha is like the extreme one, and I don't think he's good at it. I like he's
He's
grouped into this comedy thing, but I don't think he's a comedy guy
no,
necessarily.
he's not, and he's always just like the pathetic like idiot like loser guy that it's just always like so
Yeah,
self-deprecating.
where he's just like not good at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
and
yeah,
if you ever watch the movie Geely, he's like a mentally challenged person in it, and it's like really like kind of offensive with how he plays it. It's just not. It's just really bad. Um,
damn.
yeah, but yeah, that's my number one,
Well,
National
that's our
Treasure.
rant on American actor Justin Bartha.
Yeah, that's it was all leading up to that, our Justin Bartha rant. Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, that's those are some movies to watch on the 4th of July. You could
Yeah.
have take your pick of the litter. You could watch Rocky 4 or National Treasure or rewatch the first Avengers again or even watch a Blowout like Quentin
Yeah.
Tarantino probably does on the July
Yeah.
4th.
That's
Actually of
his
my
fourth
whole
tradition.
right, actually out of my whole list, the one I've watched on the 4th the most would be my number 10, The Patriot. And it's a ridiculous thing to watch on the 4th of July.
There you go. Well, this 4th of July, I'll probably rewatch National Treasure. So, you know,
They're still in the Declaration of Independence.
Declaration of Independence. Yeah, you got to see that YouTube video. It's great.
Yeah, yeah, I'm going to.